Hello everyone, this is Terry from Allen Art and Design. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. So far I have some friends from India, the UK, Australia, and Canada. I'd really love to hear where you're from. French vanilla. I got my hazelnut coffee today. I am so excited to show you this. I'm making like a fabric basket, and the other night I needed something to do, and I kept thinking, like, I need a place to store all of the little bits for slow stitching. And I think this will be perfect for that. I started out with just a quilted pillow sham. And the good part about that is you have the quilted part on the outside, and there's usually some material on the inside that coordinates. And this is the material that was inside. So I use that as the lining. Why not? I'm going to use it all. And you can also use these for needle books. So let me show you. Before I start with this, I'm going to show you. I started 2 more needle books. They're not cut completely straight yet. I mean, I just cut them out with scissors. Might need to use a rotary cutter and a ruler to get them really straight, but they don't have to be perfect anyways. It's slow stitching. But look at the covers I made. I made 2 of them. Made these when my little granddaughter was sleeping, and I just took a bunch of scrap material and pieced it together. And then I'm using those flowers from that tablecloth that I had shown. I think it was my last video. And I've been using these on everything. I love them. I used them on a needle roll. So these are going to be the covers, and I just cut out some of the, this was another pillow sham. And you just slow stitch that on there. You could put stitching on all the way around. You can add some lace. You can add whatever you want. I added this cute little lace piece. And then I have this one. These are just the beginnings. But that's a great way to use these quilted pillow shams. I also found these are curtains. I don't want these ties. I'll cut those all off. I will use them for something else, though. I don't know what, but look at that material. I love plaid, and I love pink and green, so these are great. And there were 2 of them. So those would be perfect for doing fabric bowls. And then I also got this one. This is a curtain, but look what it has. It's got flowered material, and it has like this checkered material underneath. So you could, I have to pick some of this. Like, if I pick that, this piece of material will be straight. Have to iron it or whatever. But if you use this for the outside of a fabric bowl, or any kind of slow stitching, a pouch or anything, you can use this for the lining, and it just goes beautifully together. And I think it was like $2.99 for this whole panel, and it's huge. So I love things like that. It's just a great way to get material. So what I did was, and I'll show you that as we go. The first thing I did was I cut out a circle. I used a plate, you know, like a dinner plate. I thought that would be a nice size. I want to start with a big one, and then I'm going to work my way down to some smaller ones. And this was on there too, and to me, this material right here does not go with this quilted sham at all. I have no idea why that's there. It's ugly. Guess what? It's going on the bottom. So what I did was, and I'm going to show you, I just pinned it together, but I want to show you the layers. I had this really heavy duty material. It's for crewel work, but I'll never use it for anything else. So I figured, why not use it to strengthen the bottom of this? And then I put a thin piece of cardboard in there, because I'm never going to wash this. And if I do, it'll just be with a sponge and soap and water. It's never going to be submerged. If you wash this in the washing machine, it'll probably get ruined. So I put a thin piece of cardboard under there, and then I'm pinning it together, and then I can just stitch along the edge. Go around with a running stitch just to seal it. And I just think that's a great size. Show you what I did with this. I'll move this out of the way. I'm going to undo this. Where does it undo? There's a seam somewhere here. Look at, I hit it so good that you can't even tell. What I think I might do is, I'm going to snip that. It doesn't matter, it's all going to be stitched together again anyways. And I'll take this off. So this is my seam. I'll take this off too. I have to take this all apart and stitch it anyway, so it really doesn't matter that I'm doing this. I just want to show you. So what I did was, inside of here, let's just open it up so you can really see. What I did was, where is that one? Must be underneath. Oh, it's way over here. These are really long pins. Got them on Amazon. They're actually pretty good. Usually this stuff you get on Amazon is junk. So, I'm going to take this all apart, and I want to show you the layers. What I'll do is just pin that so it's not flopping all around. Okay, so inside, and I'm gonna have to, like I said, I'm gonna have to repin this whole thing, because I have to sew it all. When I finish sewing it, I'll come back and show you what I did. Okay, so this got caught in there. So I'm just gonna peel it back so you can see the layers. Let's take this off. Yeah, I spent about an hour piecing this thing together. All right, so what I did was, this is just a strip from the quilted pillow sham, and I used the straight line on it to fold it all along, and that just helped me, you know, to determine the edge on it. So then I folded it in to the size that I wanted. Let's see. Let's measure this. Okay. almost 6 inches. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's the size I decided. And I think it had something to do with the line on here that helped to determine the size of it. Then I took some more of these strips of this heavy material. I don't know what they call this material. It's very thick. And I just decided I'm never going to use this material for anything else. I might as well just use the scraps to strengthen the inside. Of this strip. And it doesn't matter if they overlap or anything like that. I'll probably just come in and do invisible stitching on that all the way down. That's probably the first thing I'm going to do is stitch that on. Then I'll fold this over, stitch that all the way down, and then I'll fold this over and stitch this down. And then the other thing is I'm going to want to put the backing on this for the inside before I sew the bottom on. I want this all to be done. So then all we have to do is, now let me try to put this back together again. Then I can show you. It's not going to be exact. It doesn't even matter. Because it's all, I have to take this whole thing apart. I'm actually looking forward to the process of putting this whole thing together. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's pin that while I have it in place. And I'll readjust it so that these pieces of lace are closer together. They don't need to be touching, but I want them close together. So then you just tuck that in. And pin it. So there's my seam, but it doesn't really matter if there's a seam on it, it's fine. And if you want, when you're slow stitching, you can emphasize the seam by like doing some big X's across it or something. Just who cares? It's slow stitching. So what I had on here was, I'm going to show you these. I have a bunch of these crocheted flowers, and I have some big yo-yos. What am I ever going to use these for? These big yo-yos came off of a curtain. They were the base of a curtain, believe it or not. It was the ugliest pair of curtains I ever saw. But I got a bunch of yo-yos out of it. And then these I cut out of it was like a bureau scarf. And it had all of these beautiful crocheted flowers. So I just stitched them on. I found some green thread, stitched it, and then I grabbed a bunch of buttons. This is a great way to use up stuff. I had this, let me pin this on. And this is for me, so it's, I don't feel like it has to be perfect. I need something to put things in, so it's a perfect way to use this. This is way off, obviously, because when I put this together before it matched up, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Then I had, let me show you. I bought this hideous dress from Savers, but I didn't want the dress. I just wanted all these roses on here. Aren't they pretty? So I spent some time cutting the whole front up, and I have a lot left. I've got a ton. And then I have some of this ribbon that came off of it. You could use that for slow stitching, but look at all of these. I've got so many. Oh my goodness. And there's other pieces that you can use in a slow stitch roll or something that I kept. Those are fine to do that with. But what I really wanted Let's get those separated. Or the roses. I think they're beautiful. I love the color. They just go great with most of these materials that I'm going to be using. So then I had, this was a strip that came off of like a curtain. These are going to be great. Excuse me, I gotta snip that. These are going to be great on the corner. I went ahead and I cut the rest of it and just added it on. And if I needed to, I could add another one, you know, to fill in here, but I don't think I'm going to need it if I do it right. So I went ahead and the other night I stitched all of the yo-yos onto whatever it was that I wanted them on. And let me show you. I've got 3 different sizes of yo-yos. Oops, there's an extra thing there. I've got different size yo-yos. These are small ones, and these are vintage. I was lucky enough to find, it was like a placemat at a yard sale, and it was all of these, and I cut them all up, put them in this little box. I'd like to get some material and cover that because that looks terrible. But I love the size of the box. It fits on my sewing desk. There's a little spot on the sewing desk where it slides right in. And then this is another one. This is a box. This is a cigar box, wooden cigar box that I covered. I used washi tape all around. And then this was a greeting card, and I just glued that on. I found some trim with buttons on it, and it says "My Life." I don't know why I wrote "My Life" on there. I think at some point I'm going to put yo-yos on there, but at the time I didn't know what I was going to use the box for. But look at, I covered the inside with Dollar Tree wall decals and then washi tape that went with it. I love that. I think it looks beautiful. So these are my bigger yo-yos. These, I got a ton of them. So I got to find ways to use these up. And I think these slow stitch projects are perfect for that. So there's that one. And then I have another, I guess I had bought another cigar box. I love these wooden cigar boxes. And look at, that's beautiful. I wouldn't change that. I'll probably, I don't know, I might not cover that at all. I just love the look of that. And I have these that I had shown. I got this is a table runner. Look at how many yo-yos are on here. And they're totally vintage. And I just love the look of them. They look faded and worn, and they look like they've been washed in the machine a million times. Some of them are no good. I'll just cut them off, throw them away. But aren't they beautiful? So I got to cut these up, and those medium-sized ones will go in here. So I've got a place in my craft room for all 3 of the sizes of yo-yos that I have, which I think is great. Good storage solution. All right, so let's get back to this. Yeah, so I went ahead and I cut all of this to use as like a trim. I'm never going to use this for anything else, so I might as well use this stuff. I'll separate these things out later on, but for right now, this is what I'm working with. I like to keep everything in bag. because then I can see what's in the baggie. So I went ahead, and like I said, I sewed these. The other night, I was just watching TV. I found some coordinating thread, stitched them together. They're not stitched on yet because I don't want to stitch any of this stuff on until I'm done. Well, actually, now that I think of it, I might want to stitch these on before I sew the bottom on. That's probably what I'll do, which is fine. You got to think ahead sometimes on, is it going to be inconvenient to be holding a bowl that's already constructed and then try to stitch? Whereas if it's like this, it's going to be a lot easier to stitch. So I went around, I used my big yo-yos, my embroidered flowers. Oh, this one's missing a button. I need to put a button on there. That's fine. I'll just get a button and put it on. And it was just a great way to use up some of this stuff. And it's very simple. I'm not really embellishing that much. I'm just putting a little trim on and popping these on there. And all the colors go great together. I love it. And with that material inside, well, I'll show you in a minute. Let me just pin that back on. Now, some of these roses are bigger and some of them are smaller. I don't think it really matters. I didn't realize that there were two different sizes when I was doing this. I probably would have used these smaller ones than the big ones, but because they're similar size to that, but it's all right. It gives it a little bit of variation. It's fine. See, that's bigger. And these don't all have to be at the same height. It's whatever you want to do. Let's find the bottom again. And when I pinned it together, it's going to fit on there beautifully. I really think the last thing I'm going to do is sew on the bottom because I need this strip, you know, to lay flat when I'm working on it until I'm ready to just sew the bottom on, and then it will be finished. But it's going to be so much fun to work on. What I'm going to do with the lining, I'm going to turn this so you can see. And this is what I do with my my needle books. Let me pin that back on so it doesn't flop around. Is I turn over the edge and then I whip stitch it. So it'll have a nice edge on there. It won't be all frayed and stuff. And I think I just gave myself enough. And I don't mind if you see some of the inside like this. That's fine. This should work out perfectly, actually. I gave myself like an extra 1/4 of an inch all the way around on this strip that I did. And it's in different sections, so I'm going to have to stitch it together. I'll do that. I'll stitch it all together. And then I will stitch this on. And I find this kind of stitching relaxing. You know, while you're watching TV, you're not really having to think about it. You're just stitching. So I think I'll be working on this week. I know, I have a lot of projects in the works, but I like to work on things when I feel like working on them. I don't go from start to finish with most of this stuff. I'm not in a race to try to get as many things done as I can. I'm just trying to enjoy the process. So I think that's going to be beautiful. And I'm not going to do anything to the inside besides lining it. That's all I'm going to do with that. And this lining came with it. So, I mean, that was beautiful. It already coordinates. I love that. What I think I might switch to is these sewing clips. That's what I need, is the sewing clips. Let's see how those work. Sometimes I feel like these sewing clips should be deeper than they are. They're very short. I wish they made some that were twice as long as that. Maybe they do. I don't know. Because it barely catches. But this would be better than dealing with all these pins I keep sticking myself with. Look at that. So this is all the prep. I have to do a lot of prep work on this. But I want to leave the edge like that because I think that looks really nice. And this is going to be great. I just think it's going to be fantastic. I'll be able to put all my little bits so they're all in one place, because everything right now, I have all the things to do these projects, but they're all over the place. I don't know where half of them are. I gotta get organized. I think that's one of the that's one of the hardest things for crafters, is staying organized. And I do try to come up with great organizational solutions. And this is going to be great. The only issue I see with something like this is, where do you store it? I guess you need to find a spot for it to sit somewhere. Maybe it'll just make me want to clear off some places in my craft room so that I only have the things around me that I need and I'm going to use. Yeah, so like here, I had to cut this one, but see, they do match up if you pin them together, and then I'll stitch them together. So that there's a spot right here. See, I'm just going to have to finagle this and stitch it so it stays together. Yep. But that's for later. I hope everybody's having a nice Labor Day weekend. I had my grandson over on Friday. He's 4 years old. He hasn't been over in a while. He usually comes over with his brother, but I wanted him to come just for the day, just him and I, so we could have some one-on-one time together. It was wonderful. We had a great day. He loves to help me work in the yard. He watered all my flowers, and he's got plenty of toys over here, so he played and had fun. And then it started to rain, so we went inside and we had lots of things to do. And then he got to spend time with my husband, which was great. So I am going to be doing a video. The next one I do is going to be letting people know about my subscriber giveaway. I just reached 400. So that's the goal that I set for this subscriber giveaway. I'm getting all of my things ready. I have almost everything I need to pack these up and send them out. But first of all, I've got to pick the 4 winners. Then I got to get in touch with them. They need to get back to me with their personal information. And then once I mail them out and they receive them, I will let everyone know who they are, if they give me permission. I need to ask for permission if they want me to use their name or not. And then I can let people know. But what I'm going to do is, my next video is I'm going to be showing all of the prizes. That way everybody gets to see what the prizes were for this giveaway. And I've got my packs ready. I need to get a piece of paper and write down things I need to finish. I'm almost finished with that large needle book. The small one is done. The naked journal is complete. I just need to put together a paper pack for that. And the pin cushion, I actually found a really nice container to wrap it up and mail it out in. And I also bought a pack of pins for the pin cushion so that someone can just go ahead and put their pins in right away. So I'm looking forward to doing that video, and I will see you in the next video. Happy crafting.